Let us understand how we can filter the data as part of our queries. We use where clause on top of select and from to filter the data. Here is the simple example of a query which have where condition with the order status equal to complete. All comparison operators such as equal, not equal, greater than, less than, greater than or equal to, less than or equal to, etc. can be used to compare a column or expression or literal with another column or expression or literal. In this case, order status is column and complete is literal. We can either have column like this compared to literal. We can also have expression which is nothing but a derived column out of existing column against another expression or another column, or you can have literal with either expression or column or another literal. So there can be anything as part of this where clause. It need not be column and literal always. You can have either column or derived column or expression or literal compared to column or expression or another literal. We can use operators such as like with percentage or tilde with regular expressions for pattern matching. This is how the pattern matching queries look like. If you have date column, you have to convert it to string using toChar like this, and then you can use like with percentage to perform pattern matching. In this case, we are trying to get those orders whose date belongs to 2014 January. You can also use the tilde operator like this. You don't need to specify percentage if you are using tilde for pattern matching. You can also have regular expressions here. Tilde is nothing but a key which is on the left side of 1. You have to just hit shift and that key which is on left side of 1 and you will get tilde. Other character that can be printed using that key is backtick. If you use shift to hit that key on the left side of 1, you will get tilde. Boolean or and AND can be performed when we want to apply multiple conditions. Examples are get all orders with order status equals to complete or closed. This is an example for Boolean OR. For these kind of scenarios where we want to compare the column with multiple literals with equal operator, we can also use in instead of saying the column name equal to a value or column name equal to another value. We can say column name in value comma another value. Get all orders from month 2014 January with order status equal to complete or closed. This is an example for both Boolean AND as well as Boolean OR. In this case, we are trying to get those orders which are placed in month of 2014 January, and also the status has to be either in complete or closed. So for order status, it is OR operator, and then we have to use in conjunction with the condition against month with AND. We can also use between along with AND to compare a column or expression against range of values. For example, if I want to get orders which are placed between 2014 January 1st and 2014 March 31st, I can use between and I can specify the range using AND between the values from which we want to get the range. Here is an example with respect to between operator. In this case, I am trying to get all those orders which are placed between 2014 January 1st and 2014 March 31st. When it comes to nulls, we need to use is null and is not null to compare against null values. We cannot use equal and not equal because nulls are treated specially in databases. It means nothing. It is different from empty string, and we cannot use equal or not equal to compare against null. You will not get anything if you try to get the results using equal or not equal against null values. Let us perform the task to understand most of these important filtering conditions we use on regular basis. In this case, first I am connecting to the database, and then I am trying to get all the orders which are in complete state. You can see we are only getting those orders that are in complete state. You can also get the count. We have 68,883 records in orders. However, after applying the condition order status equal to complete, you can see that there are 22,899 records. Now, when it comes to business requirement, they might say, get me all orders which are either in complete or closed. And we don't know how the data is represented with respect to order status related to complete or closed. It can be complete or completed, closed, or there might be some other value which mean either complete or closed. The data might be either in lowercase or uppercase or mixed case. We don't know how the data is represented, and hence first we need to understand what all values we have. For that, we can use this distinct approach which will give us all the order statuses in the table. Now if I want to get only those orders either in complete or closed, we can go to the list and we can confirm what all values mean either complete or closed, and we can use only those values. Out of all these values, we are interested in complete and closed. All others mean a different thing than these, and hence we should not be using the other values. And this is how you can actually specify in operator to compare order status against complete or closed. Now if you get the count, the number of records with either complete or closed status is nothing but 30,455. Out of 68,883 records, only 30,455 records are either in complete or closed status. You can also use OR like this, but if you are trying to compare a column with multiple values with OR condition with equal, then you should be using in, not equal. The advantage of using in is it will make your query better readable. Now this is another example of simple equal condition against a date. So earlier we have compared against the strings. Now we are trying to compare against the date. You need to understand the date format, how the date is represented within the database, and then you have to specify that. Now if I remove this, it might work or it might not work depending upon the database you are working on. In Postgres it works. However, if I change this, in this case I am trying to compare against 2014 January, it will not work. It is actually saying invalid date time format. It is throwing exception. So either you have to say something like this or the complete value which we have as part of our data. So dates are typically represented like this with the timestamp 000000. If you are trying to get the orders which are placed in the month of 2014 January, as order date is of type date, if you say date like 2014-01%, it will not work, because we cannot use this approach against non-string types. In this case, order date is of type date and hence it is not working. To fix this, we can leverage a function called as toChar to extract the date in the form of string. The string will be represented like this: 2014-01-01 for 2014 January 1st. Once it is converted to string, then I am actually using like operator to compare against the pattern 214-01 using percentage at the end. So all the dates which starts with 2014-01 will be returned. On top of this, we are also trying to get only those orders which are either in complete or closed status. Now this will actually give us all the orders that are placed in 2014 January with status in complete or closed. You can also get the count to validate. With count, we don't need to have a limit here. You can see there are 2544 records which satisfy this condition. You can also use this approach with toChar. You can actually convert the date into different values in the form of strings. Earlier we have converted date into string using this format, which will contain the date part also. This one we are only extracting the year and month part, and we can leverage equal directly and we can compare against 2014-01 here to get those orders which are placed in 2014 January along with order status in complete or closed. You can run this query. You can also run count query on top of this. This is already ran, so let me delete this. Let me run this. This will take care of the count. You can see that there are 2544 records even when we compare like this. We can also use tilde operator for pattern matching like this, and you can actually get the count directly. It is returning 2544 records. I am not previewing the data, I am directly getting the count, and you can see that it is matching with the earlier queries with equal to or with like. This is how you can actually get all those orders that fall within 2014 January 1st and 2014 March 31st along with complete or closed status. If you look at the select clause on top of count, I also have min as well as max. This will facilitate us to validate whether the border conditions are working as expected. In some databases, when we use between and end like this, the border conditions might not be satisfied and it might exclude these values and you might start getting incorrect results. To ensure that it is returning the results as expected, one of the way to validate our query is by using sample queries with min and max to understand what is the minimum value and maximum value from the column on which the condition is specified. this will actually ensure whether the results are returned properly or not. Now if I run this, you can see that there are 7,594 records between 2014 January 1st and 2014 March 31st whose order statuses are in either complete or closed, and also you can get the min as well as max values, which means we are able to get all the values from 2014 January 1st till 2014 March 31st. You can also use count distinct order date like this, and you can actually get the number of days between that range. Between 2014 January 1st and 2014 March 31st, we have 31 days in January, 31 days in March, so 62, and then 28 days in February, which is nothing but 90. However, there are only 89 here, so we need to troubleshoot why there are only 89. Probably one of the days data is not available in our dataset. For that, you can actually validate like this. Between 2014 January 1st and 2014 January 31st, we have 31, which is correct. Now I am saying 2014 January 1st and 2014 February 28th, we got 59. This is also correct, and hence in March we miss 1 day's data. However, as we are getting 2014 March 31st date as max of order date, there might be 1 day's data missing in March. Okay, so to validate this further, what you can do is you can actually say percentage SQL select distinct order date from orders where to care of order date YYY-MM like 2014 March percentage order by order date. We can run this query and we can see which days data is missing. This shows that we have data for all the dates except for 2014 March 9th. We have seen 8 and 10 here but no 9, which means 2014 March 9th data is missing. So our query is correct. However, our input data doesn't have data related to 2014 March 9th. That's why we are getting 89 here. This is how you should be able to troubleshoot the issues by validating the data by writing queries in appropriate way. That being said, now let's talk about dealing with nulls. Let me drop this table called as users, create this table and insert 5 records. The first record contain only 3 columns, user first name, last name and email ID. Second record contain 5 columns, first name, last name, email ID, user role and is active. The third insert will actually contain 3 records. All these 3 records have 6 columns. First name, last name, email ID, password, role is active. For all the other columns, either the values will be nulls or the default values that are specified while creating the table. You can validate by running this select star from users query. You can see 5 records here. If you look at user password column, it have either none or some specified password while inserting the data. Now if I want to get these 2 records, I have to say user password is null. If I say user password equal to null like this, it will not work. But if you say is null, it will get those records where user password is not set. If you say is not null, it will get those records where user passwords are set. When it comes to these values, they are actually null in the database. However, as I am using Jupyter Hub environment, which is Python based, it is showing as none. But if you try to run these queries against SQL Workbench or pSQL, you will be seeing nulls for the user password, not none like this. So just keep that in mind and make sure that you understand it is not represented as none in the database tables. Instead, it is represented as null. However, Python is the one which is actually converting this to none here because Jupyter is based on Python. This is how you should be able to write queries by applying several conditions to filter the data based upon your requirements.